In the last few years, quinoa has become the latest food trend here in the United States. It's incredibly healthy and versatile, which is why it's also a superfood. Because of all of this new attention, the demand for the crop has skyrocketed around the world. But is this sudden increase in demand for quinoa really all that great? Let's find out. Quinoa was first grown in Peru, Bolivia, and other South American countries. The earliest record of human consumption of quinoa dates back 3,000 to 4,000 years ago. Quinoa was a staple of ancient South American civilizations, but today it is popular due to its superfood status. On average, 3.5 ounces of cooked quinoa has 14 grams of protein and also includes high amounts of calcium and diet. Today, the Andean region of South America is still the top producing region for quinoa. In fact, these countries accounted for 80% of global quinoa production in 2011, which is a huge increase from 46% in 2001, according to this graph from the United Nations and the World Bank. As you can see, the world quickly embraced trendy quinoa. In 2001, according to this graph from the World Bank, the only real demander for quinoa was the EU. Now look at 2011. It's mind-blowing how the labeling of a food as trendy can increase demand. From 2001 to 2011, there was an 18 times increase in the demand for quinoa. The United Nations dubbed 2013 to be the International Year of the Quinoa, to recognize quinoa's abilities to aid food insecure countries, but by doing so, the producing countries are becoming more and more food insecure themselves. Since 2001, there's been a huge increase in prices for the producing countries to buy quinoa. Prices look like they are leveling off, but they are leveling off at prices that are almost 3 times as high. For a crop that is a dietary staple in Peru, Bolivia, and other countries, these prices are just too high, and soon quinoa will become too expensive for local purchasing.
To look at quinoa as a trendy food, let's first look at kale as an example. In the past decade or so, kale has become very popular due to its health benefits and because it's so easy to grow. Kale fits right into the local produce fad, with people flocking to local farmers markets to buy it, especially after famous health professionals like Dr. Oz declared it a superfood. Quinoa also has many health benefits, but it is the opposite of kale in that almost all of the quinoa consumed in the US is grown in Chile, Bolivia, Peru, and Ecuador. Quinoa has become increasingly popular. 6 years ago, it was $1.50 a pound, and today it can go for up to $8 a pound. This is good for farmers because they're making more money, but it's a double-edged sword. Many farmers are now having to buy outsourced, less nutritional food because it's cheaper. There have been efforts to grow quinoa in the U.S. in the Pacific Northwest region, where the climate is the most similar to South American countries where quinoa is grown now.
So what can we do to help the problem with quinoa demand? We can grow it here. However, there are difficulties with growing quinoa. It is very heat sensitive, rain will ruin the crunch because the seeds sprout too quickly, and saponin, which is the natural layer of compound that protects the seed but is inedible to consumers, causes a problem. Very specific cleaning systems would have to be used. The places where we can grow quinoa in North America are the Rocky Mountains, Canada, and the Pacific Northwest. This plant is adaptable, and we should take advantage of that. If we produced it here, we would save on importation costs, and it would lower the price for both North and South American consumers. The farms that grow it now in Colorado should widely publicize their growing model so that others can adopt it. On a smaller scale, college students, farmers, and educators should share their knowledge about this issue through social media. If individuals could begin learning how to grow quinoa, eventually the effort could become more expansive.